everyone, it's a pumpkin spice kind of day over here in Natalie's life, and today I thought I would show you one of my favorite fall autumn recipes, and these are muffins. You can eat these for breakfast, for a snack, with your lunch, with dinner, for dessert. There's so many options, and they are so good and they're healthy. So if you love pumpkin spice as much as I do, or maybe you're not sure if you love pumpkin spice, give this video a like and, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. I would really super appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get started. This recipe is off of the Clean and Delicious website and YouTube channel. So I make the base of it and then make it my own. So my family and I absolutely love these. First off, we start with 3 cups of Quaker oats, and I have quick 1-minute oats and they're gluten-free. And you can pick any of your, favorite kinds of oats. They don't have to be gluten-free, but if you are gluten intolerant, you definitely want to make sure you find ones that are gluten-free. So this just takes 3 cups, and I thought I would run out, so I brought a second one in. Okay, that's 3 cups. So basically we're putting all of the dry ingredients in one bowl, and then we're going to put all the wet ingredients in the second bowl. Next is 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Now this recipe calls for pumpkin pie spice, and what I use is organic pumpkin spice. So that has organic cinnamon, organic ginger, organic nutmeg, organic cloves, but if you're not a fan of organic, that's totally fine. Say hello. Hello. They're gonna be good. And you like these,
Yes.
Yeah, you really like them?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Now the next step calls for pumpkin pie spice. What I use is pumpkin spice, this is organic pumpkin spice, and then ground cinnamon. And you can use whatever you would prefer. I go back and forth between pumpkin spice, pumpkin pie spice. Sometimes I put both in there with cinnamon. So today we are going to use pumpkin spice, and it is 1.5 teaspoons, and I usually put in a lot. This is 1, and then I actually go ahead and put in 2 teaspoons. But then once I kind of see how much that is, then I just kind of, Then I'm going to take this pumpkin pie spice and basically eyeball it. I'm not exactly sure how much this is, but how I can see the consistency is I basically cover up most of the oats in here. So it should look something like this. And then we are going to just top it with some cinnamon. So the next step is 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. What I use is Himalayan salt, and I just do a little splash, a little dash. Oop, done. And that is what I do for this mixture. And then we're just going to mix it all up. So it should start to kind of look something like this. Okay, we are going to set that aside and move on to our wet ingredients. Then we're going to take a medium-sized bowl. So that was a large, this is a medium size. The first step is a 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree. You can definitely make your own or whatever you prefer doing, but this is just what I use. And we're going to use a 1/2 cup. So I have a little bit left over from another pumpkin spice recipe. We are going to have a 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree. Now we are going to open up this one. Okay, and then continue to fill this up. Okay, so I do a bit more than a 1/2. The next step is 1/3 cup of maple syrup. What I use is honey, 100% honey, and I actually use 1/4 cup. And I maybe would use maple syrup, but we currently do not have any right now. So I'm just going to use what we have in our pantry, which is honey. So we will just fill this up. Sometimes I even do less than 1/4, honestly. So, and today I'm just going to do something like this. We'll pour that in. The next step is 2 eggs. So they say 2 pasteurized eggs to be specific. A good trick is that if you're concerned about getting the shell in your mixture, take another bowl, crack the egg on the side of the bowl, put it inside the bowl, the egg, and I did get a little bit of a shell in there. So we'll scoop that out instead of having to try to find the shell in the mixture. And then from there, you can just take your egg that is in your separate bowl and dump it in the mixture. It just works out so much better. Then we are going to add some milk. Now you can use any milk that you prefer, but I usually use unsweetened original milk. You are welcome to use unsweetened vanilla, or you don't even have to use almond milk at all. You can use coconut, you can use whatever you prefer. But as you all know, I have a dairy allergy, so does my mom. My brother has a bit of a dairy allergy as well, so I kind of stick to this. We are going to use 1 1/4 cups of milk. Then we are going to take our handy dandy whisk. Once everything is nicely mixed together, now what we will do is take our large bowl and pour the wet ingredients into our dry ingredients. And I usually pour about half, and then I mix and fold that in. And then I take the rest of it and pour it right in. And then just keep mixing until, you know, everything is pretty well together. You're welcome to fold, mix, whatever you feel comfortable with. I do a mix of mixing and folding, mixing and folding. So when you have consistency that looks something like this, you are good to go, except if you want to add a bit more pumpkin pie spice or pumpkin spice or cinnamon, this would be the time to do that. So I usually do. So I cover a lot of this up because we love pumpkin spice. Then we're going to mix that in. Mix and fold, mix and fold. Okay, then we'll add a bit of cinnamon. There we go. Okay, before we put in our raisins and whatever choice of nut you prefer, the recipe calls for walnuts, but I usually put in sliced almonds. So let's go ahead and prep our oven and preheat it to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we'll continue on with the recipe. So now we are going to put in our nut of choice, and it's 1/4 cup or whatever you prefer. Sometimes I do 1/4 or 1/3. Right now I will do 1/4 and then see if you know I want more or less, you know, so something just about like that. Then we'll just pour it in there and then mix and fold, mix and fold. All right, and then I usually add in 2 packages of raisins. And the recipe calls for 1/4 cup of raisins. I usually don't measure that. I just put in 2 packages of raisins, and that's the way that we really like it. Hi, Dad. And then we will mix and fold, mix and fold. Okay, and then we'll take our 2nd package of raisins. Pop that in. This is going to be so good. Okay, now, like I said before, sometimes I add in more nuts. And today I'm going to do that. So instead of a fourth, I'm actually doing like a half, something like that. So, and it's just whatever you and your family prefer. If this is only for you, then it's only what you prefer. So it's kind of depends on your taste buds, your likings. Yay! Now we are going to get our muffin trays and lightly grease them. And you are welcome to grease them with whatever you would prefer. What I use is, let me grab it. I use organic extra virgin olive oil. It's a non-stick cooking spray. It's from Sprouts. So it really works for me. It doesn't give that oily taste after. So we're just gonna go ahead and lightly spray this. So my next trick is to take a paper towel and go ahead and just dab, not to remove or omit the oil, just kind of spread it out as if it's butter, you know, like melted butter. You're just trying to glaze the top and sides. Do that with these as well. While we did all of that, this had a chance to set, because before you put in your mixture into the muffin pans, you want to allow this to set and soak in for 5 minutes. So by the time we did the oil and, you know, cleaned up a little bit, it's time to put them in. I just take a tablespoon, and if it's a little more or a little less, that's okay. And I just go through and kind of smooth them out a little bit, see if any of them need a little bit more, a little bit less. So this is what it should look like for the big ones. And then now that you're done with both of your muffin pans, you can go ahead and put them on one of these. So in case it starts to spill over, or it's just good to have, this stability. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this one in, and then we'll do the same with the smaller. So I just took out these delicious looking muffins, and now I'm going to do the toothpick test, where I take a toothpick and put it right down the middle of any of the muffins and see if any of the consistency comes out. And if there is not any consistency, that means they're done. And if there's a pretty good amount, then they probably need to go in a bit longer, but they have been in the oven for about 30 minutes. So we'll see if they need more time, but they smell so good.